the Bechdel test was invented in 1985 and had 3 rules to pass it. 1, at least 2 named female characters needed to exist. 2, they had to talk to each other. And 3, they had to talk to each other about something other than a man.
You told me this movie is to failing the Bechdel test what Quentin Tarantino is to the N-word.
I was wrong. It only felt like they shoot the Bechdel test in the head and ate its face. But in fact, the women do take time out to talk about something other than a man. It didn't feel like that, but they do.
Well, I'm glad we settled that. Should we get into the movie, or do you have something else to say?
I can only assume Maya Angelou was kidnapped and forced to appear in this film.
Actually, she's on record as liking the movie. And one more thing.
What?
The poetry you hated? And the poetry that Justice reads?
Mm-hmm.
That was written by Maya Angelou.
Okay, you need to leave the room for a minute.
Why?
I need to shoot myself and I don't want to get blood on you.
We're not in the same room. And should you be making shooting jokes considering how Tupac Shakur died?
Fuck you.
There we go. I knew that's what you wanted to say since we started recording.
Well, does this still work? The podcast looks at movies and asks, does this still work? I'm Joe Dixon.
And I'm George Romaka. And today we're discussing Poetic Justice from 1993 and some historical context. First, podcasty stuff. We're excited to announce that we've joined the Creator Accountability Network. CAN is a nonprofit dedicated to reducing harassment and abuse through ethical education and a system of restorative accountability. We joined because we care about the safety and well-being of our community members. If you feel our behavior or content has harmed someone, please report it to CAN, either via the reporting form on their website, creatoraccountabilitynetwork.org, or via their hotline at 617-249-4255. They'll help us make it right and avoid repeating that mistake in the future. CAN also needs volunteers from our communities to help with their work, so if you have skills you think would be helpful, or time and a desire to help, please visit their website to find out how you can volunteer. Most importantly, get the word out to other creators who you think would be interested in getting credentialed. Help us build safer communities together. You can reach us at dtswpod@gmail.com, on Facebook, Letterboxd, and on our YouTube channel. Joe is on Blue Sky at joedixon.bsky.social. Please tell your friends about us, even the ones with recording studios in their basement, and leave 5-star ratings everywhere. You can pick what we watch and get extra per episode content by funding us on Patreon for as little as $1 a month at patreon.com/dtswpod.
Now, George, take us back to 1993.
And this is the way it was.
We'll get into why I'm choosing these themes in a bit. We're going to look at poetry, postal workers, and hairstylists in California. Joe, give us our first headline from the Camarillo Star of Ventura, California.
Poetry binds young and old.
The article talks about how a plethora of coffee houses and opportunities for poetry to be shared created a poetic community made up of people from ages 8 to 80. The poets were unfailingly positive and supportive of each other, even if their poems were about dismal themes or full of profanity. One English teacher saw it as a revival of the 1950s beat movement, which eschewed middle-class values for radical music and politics. Poetry has an advantage of being affordable to partake in. All you need is paper and something to write with. This was before cell phones, and I have to wonder how the proliferation of social media and that kind of pervasive interconnectedness has shaped the poetry community of today.
Have you ever written poetry?
Yes, because everybody at some point in school had to write poetry.
Did you think it was any good?
No, that's why I didn't keep doing it.
Did you ever write any to any of your various girlfriends?
No, I wrote songs for girlfriends.
Ah. It's probably
bad ones. Very bad ones. They were not good.
Yeah, I'm sure the girls still appreciated it.
No.
With a guitar or just your voice?
Not even any of that.
Oh, just sang it.
I got the sheet music. No, I made it in like a program. So I had like notes and like a piano part, but
okay,
it was janky. There were lyrics, but they were just on the page. Nobody was singing them.
Gotcha. I dabbled in poetry a bit. Nothing I would ever be interested in sharing with anyone. Yeah, wasn't really that great at it. I'm not, and I will read some poetry now and then, maybe get a poetry book just to, I like to read different styles. I don't want to just be heavy on just one, but I've never been much into poetry, to be honest.
Well, and you've been to at least one museum with me. I don't get art. Like, I can appreciate that people do it, and I can recognize when somebody does something that I can recognize as like, oh, wow, that's super good looking. I can't do that, and that's what impresses. Like, I don't have that skill set. But for the most part, most art is just kind of there, and I can't make heads or tails of it. Music is different because I have an intimate understanding of it, and it's a different kind of processing. But I don't know, most art, I don't get, like, poetry doesn't really get me. Like, I don't respond to it super emotionally.
Yeah, I don't think we're going to have a revival, as we did in the 90s, of poetry get-together or poetry slams. I suspect, I mean, maybe I'm wrong. Different generations tend to repeat what their parents or great-grandparents did. But I feel like we've moved past the days of people getting into poetry. Just don't think that's what we're going to go back to. People will still be writing stuff, but I don't know there'll be poetry. Certainly nothing like the Beats, who are terrible writers, by the way. The Beats are awful. Just god-awful garbage. I read some of this stuff. It was bad in the 50s, and it's bad today. Fight me.
Direct all of your ire to dtswpod@gmail.com, please. We would love to even have people arguing with us in our inbox. That would still be...
There's no argument. Beat writing fucking sucked.
Well, another endeavor that uses paper and often writing implements is the Postal Service. So, Joe, give us our second headline, this time from the Modesto Bee of Modesto, California.
Postal workers say jobs are stressful, tedious.
For context, this article ran alongside one about a fired postal worker who killed 2 people.
Oh dear.
This was a whole thing that I haven't heard of happening for a while. It even spawned a video game called Postal, where you guessed it, a postal worker shooting people. The article contrasts the portrayal of postal workers on Cheers by Cliff, a guy who blew off his delivery routes to sit in the bar and drink, with the reality of being stressed cogs in an unrelenting machine. Part of that stress is how the government uses the Postal Service as a punching bag. The fascists point out that it doesn't turn a profit, while their constituents fail to understand that government services aren't supposed to turn a profit.
Yeah, it gets exhausting. Oh, we have to have this conversation over and over again. It's the government. It's not supposed to be making money.
No, it is something that exists to serve everybody.
Exactly. Shouldn't matter if it's a money-making endeavor. Everything is not about making money.
Yep.
I remember the postal shootings. Yeah, it has been a long time since we've had one. I don't know what they did to fix it, but apparently they did, because postal workers aren't shooting each other or everyone else the way they used to.
Well, one of 2 things happened. Either the Postal Service figured its shit out and started treating its people better, or so many people started shooting up schools that we stopped caring about postal workers.
We'd still hear about postal shootings if we had them.
Okay, then it's probably
schools are still targets, though. That's true. They've moved on to schools. They're not even making it to working at the post office now. They can't wait. They just wait. They're not even waiting to get out of high school.
Finally, let's look at whatever I could find to talk about for hairstylists. Joe, give us our last headline from the Oakland Tribune of Oakland, California.
Cheating on bad hair days allowed.
Apparently, before 1993, contestants in the Miss America pageant had their hairstylists all up in their preparation processes. In 1993, pageant officials deemed that they wanted to put forth a more do-it-yourself vibe and required that the contestants do their own hair by disallowing the stylists from the dressing rooms.
I've heard that.
Meanwhile, they explicitly allowed the contestants to have their hair worked on by professionals in their hotel rooms. This way, they could still look professionally done up while claiming the DIY.
What was the point of that?
Well, Joe, who would have thought that an entire enterprise of objectification wouldn't have a ruthless sense of integrity?
It's just strange. Like, I haven't watched any of these things in years. But when I did watch them, I didn't think about, wow, someone else did their hair. I assume someone else did their hair. Why would they themselves do it? Mm-hmm. The beauty contest, you're supposed to have yourself made up and your hair done and all by someone else. It's not. Are you also going to design the clothes and sew them up? I mean, come on.
Do your own plastic surgery?
Exactly.
Okay, Joe, let's talk about Poetic Justice.
Let's do that, George. Okay. This is written and directed by John Singleton. And for the podcast, we've seen his work in Boys in the Hood, and I've seen his work in Shaft, the 2000 version, and Rosewood.
And I've seen his work in Too Fast, Too Furious. And that's the last of my participation in this cast list.
George doesn't see movies with black people in them. That's what's going on here. He looked at the poster like, I see Negroes. I don't want to see that. That was back when you had a Southern accent for some reason.
Which I never did. And
hey, whatever.
Are you telling me there are no black people in Too Fast, Too Furious?
I'm telling you, I never saw it. I didn't see the other Fast Furious. I know, it's a joke.
I know.
In the John Singleton was a black director. No longer with us, as you may know, died of a stroke unexpectedly. Oh. And strokes have a way of happening unexpectedly.
Yes, rarely do you see them coming.
Yes.
I think that's why they're called strokes.
Because you don't see them coming? Is that a masturbation joke?
It is now.
Anyway, blurbs. IMDb says, grieving hairdresser Justice goes on a road trip from South Central LA to Oakland on a mail truck alongside her friend and an obnoxious postal worker.
And don't forget that obnoxious postal worker's co-worker.
Yes.
They left him out.
It sounds like a completely different movie than what we saw. Anyway, YouTube says, superstar Janet Jackson makes her stunning film debut in director John Singleton's Boys in the Hood, street-smart love story, Poetic Justice. A mismatched pair pushed together on a road trip from South Central LA to Oakland. Justice, Jackson, and Lucky, Tupac Shakur, have only one thing in common. They can't stand each other. Aisha and Chicago, Regina King and Joe Torre, fight and make up in the back of the van. Justice and Lucky find themselves reluctantly drawn together. After a surprising detour toward romance, the two travelers are confronted once again by the shocking violence they thought they'd left behind. Well, that really wasn't the plan, but anyway, okay, yes. Featuring the music by Naughty by Nature and Tony Tone! And the poetry of Maya Angelou. Poetic Justice is every bit as intense, original, and unforgettable as Boys in the Hood. Well, we'll discuss that. Let's move on to the characters. Justice is played by Janet Jackson. And I only know her from Good Times. Well, I mean, I know her music, obviously, but the only performance I've ever seen her in was when I was a little kid, and she was a little kid, and she was in Good Times. You know, so I was actually thinking about this the other day. Good Times was a spinoff of Maude, and Maude was a spinoff of All in the Family. They don't really do many spinoffs today, do they? I mean, I don't watch that much television, but as near as I can tell, most shows don't spin off like they used to. I mean, Law and Order has a ton of spinoffs, and the CSI shows have tons of spinoffs, but not sitcoms anymore. The last big one I can think of is Frasier. If I'm wrong, ladies and gentlemen, please write in and let us know.
I think the most recent spinoff I can think of was Better Call Saul.
Oh, right. But that was also a drama, not a sitcom. But yes, you're right. Better Call Saul was the latest one, or at least for us anyway. Anyway, Lucky is played by Tupac Shakur. And for the podcast, we've seen his work in Gridlocked. Aisha is played by Regina King. And for the podcast, we've seen her in a lot. We've seen her in Jerry Maguire, Boys in the Hood, and Friday. And on my own, I've seen her in The Harder They Fall, If Beale Street Could Talk, Caught Stealing, Watchmen, the 2019 TV miniseries, which was excellent, and American Crime, also a television series. By the way, if you can, ladies and gentlemen, it's too early for us, so we're not going to review it for another, 4 years or whatever. But see If Beale Street Could Talk. It was really good, and I'm shocked it didn't win any Oscars. It's outrageous. Anyway, Chicago is played by Joe Torre. And for the podcast, I've seen him in Tales from the Hood. And now let's get into the plot.
Does If Beale Street Could Talk take place in Tennessee?
Oh, I don't know. No, it did not.
Huh. All right, I need to scrap everything I know about any.
Why? You thought? Why did you say
the song? The country-ish song, "Walking in Memphis."
Oh,
mentions walking with her feet 10 feet off a Beale, and so I know there's a Beale Street in Memphis, Tennessee. There's probably Beale Streets elsewhere, and it's probably talking about another one then.
I'm trying to remember if it's set in a city, but it could have been. It wasn't a southern city, but it's been a while since I've seen it, so I actually don't. It could be Tennessee, and I could be wrong.
All right, I'm going to look it up now. Now I have to know.
Now you have to know, and I will continue with the plot. Basically, this movie is about a road trip 4 people take in a mail truck. I will break down each of the 4. Justice, played by Janet Jackson, is a young woman who had a mother who committed suicide when she was 12 and had a boyfriend get shot before her eyes while on a date. Is the movie about this incredibly mind-bending tragedies? Is this movie full of Justice seeing some sort of therapist, a counselor, a minister, just somebody trained to listen to people talk about their problems? Hell no! What is the answer to her psychological issues? A man! Everyone in this picture thinks this damaged woman just needs some good dick and her problems will be all gone.
Yep. And real quick, I'm going to drop something in here. Where it was supposed to take place and where it did take place, I don't know, but here's where it was shot.
Oh, yep. Okay. I thought it was in New York City, but I just wasn't sure.
Or the Dominican Republic.
It probably was a scene in the Dominican Republic. Again, I haven't seen this in a long time.
But yeah, it was filmed all over New York.
Yes.
All right.
Well, that makes sense because it's written by James Baldwin, who most of the time lived in New York City.
Mm-hmm.
This is not the first film that shows the limits of the Bechdel test. Yes, women do more than talk about men in this movie, but the picture introduces as background murder and suicide, but concludes Janet Jackson can be fixed by being in a relationship with Tupac Shakur and helping him raise his kid. Literally, the picture ends with her smiling, doing the hair of this man's child. The implication being everything is going to be all right now. I call bullshit on that, but we will discuss.
Mm-hmm.
Speaking of Tupac Shakur, he plays Lucky. Lucky is a mailman in a union job that nobody respects, including him. He can't wait to leave this job, get into music. His mother tells him he's fortunate to have that gig. She's right. Plus, what's the worst that happens here? He never makes it in music and retires from his job with a government pension? Oh no, not that!
Heavens forbid.
Also, Lucky has a daughter. The child's mother is a crack addict. There is a scene where Lucky chastises the mother for being a bad mother. He does this while downing a 40-ounce beer in the brown bag and everything right in front of that daughter. Later, he'll beat up a man he finds in the mother's bedroom, again in front of his daughter. He'll then take said daughter to the house he shares with his mother. He specifically tells his baby's mama that he's taking his daughter to stay with him and his mother. He never so much as calls his mother to find out what she thinks of that arrangement, which, okay, fine. But later, his mother tells him, hey, that's your kid. I'm not raising any more children. He tells her, oh yeah, I'm going to take care of her. The next scene is him on this road trip.
Mm-hmm.
So who is taking care of that kid? Not him. On the trip, he never mentions his daughter until he develops a relationship with Justice. The film ends with him taking his daughter to Justice's hair salon to have her hair done. The implication I got from that is not how I think the film meant it. The film means this to be romantic. I took it as This motherfucker was looking for a woman to do his parenting for him. Am I right? We will discuss. Along on the trip is Justice's friend and girlfriend of Lucky's friend, Chicago. She is played by Regina King, and her name is Aisha. She is a functioning alcoholic in a volatile relationship with Chicago. For some reason, when they crash a family reunion, none of them have family yet. She decides to flirt with a man, which leads to a fight between her and Chicago. For me, the irony in this scene is that just before that fight, Lucky says he's never been around that many black people and there wasn't a fight. What is the movie implying with that? He says he can't be around black people without them fighting, and not 5 minutes later, black people are fighting. What the fuck? Anyway, the final character mentioned is Chicago. He's violent, vulgar, and gets into a physical altercation with Aisha that leads to them breaking up. It also gets him kicked off the trip. This character's main feature seems to be combing his hair.
The back of his hair. Very specifically, the back of his hair.
Yeah, so you did notice this, George.
Yes.
It happened a lot, didn't it?
Uh-huh. Sure the fuck
Why?
did.
Why was that happening? Why did he spend so much time with his hair?
I mean, not for nothing. That was that was a character quirk of it. Like, it made him more of a character, so I can't really be mad about it. Remember in Mallrats, you had whoever the other guy, the friend, always walk around with the cup of coffee that probably didn't have any coffee, but he did things with the cup, like space work with the cup.
Uh-huh.
He had a character quirk where he brushed the back of his hair. He also had a character quirk where he came within seconds of fucking, so...
He's also supposed to stand in for toxic masculinity, but is Lucky any better than him? We will discuss.
Mm-hmm.
George, I left out a lot. Do you want to add anything?
There was a weirdly wholesome relationship between Lucky and his baby's mama's other baby daddy. So there were two kids in that apartment with her. One was Lucky's and one was this other guy's. And him and this other guy get along fine.
Much better than he does with the mother.
Yeah, which when they're beating the crap out of that other guy, they're both beating the crap out of him.
Yes. In front of their children in their house. In his house, anyway.
But, they're doing that together. Which is kind of wholesome, I guess.
Yeah, it's never explained what the deal is there. When we first meet it's played by Tone Loc. And when we first meet that character...
Who is a drug dealer.
He says, your daughter calls me daddy sometimes. You say, what? I'm her daddy. She better call me daddy. I'm like, all right, buddy. She can call you both daddy.
I expected that to turn into a fight. Nope.
No, it really doesn't. They argue on the stairs as they go up, but then they just forget about it by the time they get to the kid. Or the kid says, daddy. See, she calls me daddy.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, let's get into the discussion, my friend. Am I wrong in thinking this movie does a piss-poor job in addressing Justice's trauma? Is that ending bullshit?
Okay, that's two very different questions.
I think it's all part of the same, actually.
Okay, this movie starts with that trauma and then all but ignores it.
It's not a note she's putting in her poetry.
Sort of. Very sort of. Which is part of my problem with poetry. If you're trying to say something, why don't you say the thing you're trying to say instead of trying to say it some other way?
You don't like metaphors?
No, I don't. I like analogies. Analogies are good for understanding hard to grasp concepts. Metaphors just muddy the fucking water.
Okay.
So, but still, props to Maya Angelou. She's a great poet. I just don't dig poetry. But it doesn't do anything with that trauma. She never actually deals with it. She just internalizes it and holds on to it and uses it to write poetry, which is a fucking myth about art that is horribly perpetuated in media, that art always and must come from pain. And
then later in the movie, we hear that her mother committed suicide. She tells that to Tupac Shakur, I thought she told
Yeah, to Lucky. Also, yeah, well, I mean, she talks about it twice, at least.
And again, nobody suggests, have you seen a trauma counselor or something for this? I mean, these are two major things that happened to her, and it's not even glossed over. I mean, it is glossed over, but no one even thinks, how can I help this girl? Something, suggest something. She doesn't think of it? No. It's like psychiatry doesn't exist in this world. Counselors don't exist. I mean,
so, I get it, but also, a hairdresser and a mailman. Or a hairdresser. Like, she's a hairdresser. Do you think she has health insurance?
Probably not, but she does have friends, and you can still go.
Well, she doesn't have a lot of friends. She has one friend that we know of, Aisha. And Aisha's not going to be like, you need to get some help.
Although she does suggest to Aisha that Aisha get help, if you remember. So somehow she knows about, where's Aisha going to get help then? If she's a hairdresser?
Well, Aisha has a substance abuse problem. That's a solvable problem.
But you still have to go to somebody for that.
Right. But I can believe a character in that world not believing or understanding or even thinking about the fact that a mental health professional could help deal with this trauma.
I could if she was an undereducated woman, but her mother was studying law. She came from a middle-class background. That's why she's got that very nice house.
She has a fucking gorgeous house.
This is not a woman who didn't come from people who had some education of some sort. She would have known about therapy. That's just bullshit. She could be against it. And what you could have introduced in the book, they could have said, I just don't believe in that stuff. Then fine. She would have been wrong, but at least that would have made sense. The fact that it's not even brought up, it just bothered me. Couldn't get past it.
Okay, I mean, the movie...
Suicide and watching this boy murdered. At least have only one. They gave me two traumas in one.
Yep.
And what do you think of the ending? Was the ending bullshit? And by the end, she's smiling, doing the girl's hair, and she's looking at Tupac Shakur, like, ooh,
so,
I'm going to do her hair.
Absent the context, I wouldn't look twice at a hairdresser smiling and being very friendly with a young client. Right? She is being very professional and acting exactly as one should when dealing with a child and doing a child's hair. But there's context there that this is her boyfriend's daughter. Right. So, like, I don't know. I guess.
Look, I'm not saying the ending should have been her, like, screaming and yelling, ripping the kid's hair out. I understand her. My point is, not that she's smiling, dealing with that kid. The point is that the ending clearly is saying this is going to be a happy ending thing. Everything's going to work out because she's now with this dude, as opposed to she's now worked out her problems. No one's worked out anything. He's also had trauma happen to him.
Yep.
No one has worked
recently, during the movie.
During the movie. Is Lucky a good father?
No. Holy shit, no. I mean, he does one good thing. Gets his daughter away from the mother, who is not providing the best kind of environment for the child. He may have done a second thing by finding a different woman, a better woman to take care of the child. But that's not being a father. Being a father is showing up and spending time and teaching and listening and experiencing. He's outsourcing. That's not fatherhood.
Yeah, I'm not a father, but his behavior in this thing is like, if it occurs to you that your daughter's called another man's daddy, maybe that's because you're not there enough. Maybe that's part of it. And then he just takes this child out of that woman's house, the baby mama's house, who, yeah, she's a crack addict. Something he knew and left the child there all this time. I don't know why it's suddenly a revelation, but he sees the crack pipe and like, oh, how dare you? And you fucking another man while I'm here, blah, 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 whatever. Like, that's relevant. You didn't have the door open for the kid to see it, so honestly, what they were doing behind the door didn't matter. He wasn't sleeping with her anymore, so what did he care? Anyway, takes the kid out, and then he's like, I'm going to raise her now. But he does nothing to give us the impression that he's raising her. We see, how many times do we see him with his child? We see him when he takes her out of the house, and he see her when he is doing something in his garage, and there's an electrical spark, and the kid comes in, and he goes, oh, don't come in here. And she wants to go somewhere, and he said, no, don't come in. That's it. And this guy goes on a road trip, and it never even occurs in the film to say, hey, maybe I should take my daughter. And maybe the mother goes, oh, no, don't. She won't have any fun with that. And he goes, okay, I'm going to take her. But it not even occurred to anybody. Like, hey, I'm going on this trip. Why don't I take my child with me? It'd be a nice bonding experience between she and I.
Mm-hmm.
I don't understand the stakes for Lucky. I know I'm very lucky for some reason, but what can I say? His most dramatic moment is the fight with his baby's mama, and then later when his cousin dies. I don't feel anything for him. I don't give a damn about him or his music career. What am I missing with him?
He wasn't a very well-written character, Joe. You're not missing anything because there's nothing there to miss.
We've only seen Tupac Shakur in 2 films. This one and Gridlocked. And I think Gridlocked was much better.
Yeah, it was a better written film. I mean, Gridlocked also had a very different plot. A very much easier plot to play with. Like, this was it's when you're going for emotional, it's a tricky needle to thread sometimes. And I just don't think they threaded it well with this character.
I think they just introduced way too much.
Like, I think the fact that he's well, no, because it's actually a work trip. They explain that. Never mind.
Yeah, technically it is a work trip, right? Those people really shouldn't be with him as he's taking the mail, but they are. Which means he could have taken his daughter if they're clearly not checking up on him. So why do you suppose John Singleton, the writer and director of this movie, has a character say he can't be around black people who don't fight all the time, and the next scene have black people fighting?
Either he thought that was funny, or he wanted his character to be in a comfortable environment. So when the character said, I can't be around black people who ain't fighting, that's like the secret. So the universe conspired to make black people around him fight.
It read to me like John Singleton just lost the plot there. It's so weird for them to have that line in there. And the next, I think it's making an implication I'm not sure he wanted to make. And for me, it means like, black people, they're always fighting. That's just their natural state. That's how I took it. Which I know John Singleton wouldn't possibly have meant, but that's what he made.
Mm-hmm. All right. Questions for you.
Sure.
Both Tupac and Janet were at the height of their popularity when this film came out. You would have been in your 20s. Why didn't you see it then?
I don't know what was going on with me in 1993. I did know, and I saw other John Singleton movies. I saw Boys in the Hood, and I would go on to see Shaft. So why I skipped this one, I'm not entirely sure, other than it just didn't interest me. Didn't seem like something I wanted to see. And you know my musical taste, George. It's not great. So a lot of the more popular music, I just don't listen to. So I had never heard any Tupac stuff. I mean, I probably have heard it, but didn't realize it was him because I don't really listen to that music. And I didn't follow Janet Jackson, so I didn't go see it. There's nothing in the film that drew me to go see it. The plot didn't sound that interesting to me, and the performers in it didn't make me want to go.
Alrighty. This movie was filmed during the LA riots. Do you think it properly captures that time in America?
I mean, I guess yes and no. I mean, God knows 1993 wasn't endless rioting or anything. So they're just basically going about their lives and violence happens around them. In a very small way, yeah, I think it does capture the era. The subtext of the film, though, is troubling to me because, again, I have to return to the idea that the film seems to imply that the natural state of black people is to be violent. Lucky's violent, and he's supposed to be the good guy. Chicago's violent. Hell, the women are sometimes violent. I don't know if John Singleton's fully aware of what he's putting out there. Or for that matter, Maya Angelou. That's why I wrote to you saying, she must not have seen this script.
So, here's the thing. There was a scene where Justice is walking on the street and there's cops arresting a black guy and not beating the crap out of him. Not abusing him in any way. They seem to be very professional. There's black people watching and nothing it's just a guy getting arrested and nobody seems to be upset about it. I don't think this properly captured that time in America or any time in America.
Well, I mean, people don't always go bananas because they see someone being arrested.
No, but
I don't know that.
It's hard. Sometimes I have a hard time believing that cops aren't abusing a black person that they have in custody.
It is interesting, the lack of law enforcement in this whole picture. They're especially not there on the road, which I thought for sure they're going to get stopped at some point.
No, they're not on the road now either. Number of people fucking running red lights. Cops aren't on the road now.
Okay, but it's still weird that they're driving a road that is from LA, South Central LA, to Oakland, which I'd imagine is a busy road, and they're practically the only ones on it. I mean, I assume that's just the way it was shot, but it was just funny, like, they don't meet a lot of traffic, nor do they seem to stop anywhere to eat or...
Well, they do. They stop at a grocery store, or at a...
you're right, sorry, you have to pick up something to eat. Yeah, sorry, never mind. Just like, but they don't really take bathroom breaks. I don't know, it just seemed weird, and again, it's like, it just seems to be no one else out there. But that's neither here nor there. In terms of whether they capture the time, I'm in a minor way. You think not at all. I actually, minor way.
It's like a 5.5 hour drive if you go nonstop. So it's not like they had to necessarily stop for supplies anyway.
Yeah, I guess not. The way it's shot just made me feel like they were going for a really long trip rather than just 5 hours. But whatever. All
right. So what do you not like about the poetry in the movie?
I thought it was bad. I thought it was weirdly written. I appreciate Maya Angelou is a great writer, and she can, she wrote books, and she can write poetry. But she can do that for herself. She's not a scriptwriter. This is for the character, and that character, her poetry's bad. It's just really, it's too metaphoric. It's too, some of it, you don't even know what the hell she's talking about. It's not interesting whatsoever. I think that's why for me, personally, it's not good poetry. It's because Maya Angelou's writing for a character, not herself. Her poetry for herself, great. Her poetry for this character, not great.
All right. And how well do you think this film tackles toxic masculinity?
I don't think it does at all.
Me neither.
I read some reviews of it, and Lucky is supposed to be the good guy, and Chicago is supposed to be showing the toxic masculinity. But what does Chicago do that Lucky doesn't do? I mean, they pretty much behave pretty much the same way. Lucky can be violent. Lucky uses substances, although granted, no hard drugs, but booze in front of his kid, which is weird to me, and then takes the kid off after he's been gugging.
Chicago constantly brushes the back of his head. That's the thing they do differently.
I mean, the way they talk about women isn't that much different. It's full of bitches, this, hoes, that, bitch, ho, ho, ho. Like, the Santa Claus, for God's sake. Ho, ho, everyone's a ho. Yeah, I didn't find much of a distinction. I didn't think he was a good guy. So, yeah, did not work for me. Okay, what's next? You got any other questions?
Nope, I'm all done.
In that case, I have to ask you, my friend, does this film work? Or rather, still work, I guess I should.
I don't think it's a good film, but, it's hard to... Thing is, it's not it's not funny. I don't think it's supposed to be funny. So it's not a rom-com, it's just a rom.
It's a romantic drama.
All right, so if the cardinal sin of a comedy is not being funny, then the cardinal sin of a romantic movie would be, this doesn't engender a romantic feeling in me. This movie didn't make me feel like awe or anything like that. I think Justice, her own issues aside, settled for Lucky. I don't think...
I'm sorry, I don't mean to interrupt your train of thought, but did it even make sense? What exactly did bring them together? Because
Nothing.
I got nothing, other than just being around each other that whole time. I don't know why they suddenly become a romantic couple.
Because men and women can't exist in close proximity to each other for 5 hours without pairing off. That's apparently the reality of this movie. So I'm going to say no. I didn't find it romantic.
I certainly didn't find it romantic, and I agree it does not work. The subtext there, and again, I think it wasn't intentional, but it's still there, is of black people is very racist, frankly, even though it's by a black director and it's got a lot of pro-black people in it, and nonetheless, their depiction is not good. Yeah, and everyone's a jerk, or the women are Even, yes, the women talk about something else, but the majority of the time it's, a man, you gotta get a man, you gotta get a man. Everything's about a goddamn man. Even the fucking, her boss, Jessica's boss, who's a businesswoman, owns a shop, and still, man. Like, it was not good. Characters are terrible. The plot is terrible. The way it's executed, they introduce so many heavy topics and then they just drop them. If you did not have, you could cut that scene of her boyfriend being shot and you would swear it didn't happen.
No, the trauma, the what she's expressing could have just been from her mom's suicide and the movie could have been 15 minutes shorter.
Yeah. And even then, no dealing with her mother's suicide.
Nope.
And so we both agree, it just does not work.
Alrighty.
This was a Patron's Choice episode, and the poll for next month's film is already up on Patreon. The choices are The Grand Budapest Hotel from 2014, The Equalizer from 2014, and The Interview from 2014. Is the theme 2014? No. The theme is Wes Anderson, Denzel Washington, and Seth Rogen.
Okay.
Denzel stars in one, Seth Rogen stars in one, and Wes Anderson directs one. But it is on 2014.
Alrighty.
If you want to vote but are not a patron, you can fix that by becoming one at patreon.com/DTSWpod. Now, George, what's up next?
Next week, we'll be talking about Repo Man from 1984.
Repo Man! Repo Man! Repo Man! Repo Man! That is not in the movie.
Nope, sure isn't.
I'm your repo man. I'm your repo man. Repo man. What am I thinking of?
I don't know, Joe. I have no idea.
Well, in that case, I guess that's it for this episode. I'm Joe Dixon. Thanks for listening.
And I'm George Romaka. Thanks for listening indeed, because if a podcast drops and there's nobody around to hear it, it's just another collection of ones and zeros that doesn't matter.
You've been listening to Does This Still Work? Produced by Joe Dixon and George Romaka. This content is CAN credentialed, which means you can report instances of harassment, abuse, or other harm on their hotline at 617-249-4255 or on their website at creatoraccountabilitynetwork.org. The hosts can be reached via social media, email, or the contact page at dtswpod.com. Be good to yourself and others, because that still works.
George put the theme and the outro thing in here. And now the post-show beepy. From No Stupid Questions. Are there people who haven't changed their phone number for more than 15 years? Alright, from Stupid Questions. Why is a dozen a thing? Why did someone think, yeah, let's call a collection of 12 things a dozen? So, random question. If you could see the stats of your life after you died, what would you definitely want to see? Alright, from No Stupid Questions. When Russia went to war, the whole world threw economic sanctions at them. Why doesn't everyone do the same with America? Alright, from Stupid Questions. Are less attractive people physically attracted to less attractive people? And finally, what are your favorite memories from when you were a kid?